All right. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our strategic recommendations to LBNC. Before we get into the details, I just want to begin by thanking Suzanne Reed for the time that she spent with us during our client discussion. Suzanne, your insights were instrumental in helping us understand LBMC's operating environment and the opportunities ahead. We are a team of 4 people, so myself, Alex Jackson, then I'll let the rest of my team introduce themselves as well. We have Donovan, and then Yuli Lima and Tom Sprung. As a team, we conducted an extensive strategic analysis of LBMC, including both internal and external factors. We examined the firm's strategy, structure, their competitive landscape, 5 forces, key success factors, and their broader industry trends as a whole before arriving to our recommendation. We kept it as a singular recommendation with multiple different aspects included within this recommendation to try to keep it a little more simplified and streamlined for you to understand as a company. All of the entire detailed analysis is included in our written report that we have for you. It's super lengthy, but today we just wanted to focus on the key strategic insights and the recommendations we believe best position LBMC for scalable growth. Here's our agenda today. We're going to start with a brief introduction of what we recommend, and then we'll walk through our 5 forces analysis to ground LBMC within its competitive environment. From there, we will highlight the major driving forces shaping the industry, followed by our combined SWOT and strategic concerns, just to show where LBMC is most exposed and where the strongest opportunities exist. Next, we will present our strategic recommendations, outline the implementation plan and the KPIs, and walk through the cost-benefit analysis that supports our proposal. We'll wrap up at the end with our conclusion, and we'll also open up the floor for questions. I know that we're recording this ahead of time, but please feel free to reach out to us with any of your questions that you might have. All right, let's jump right in. LBMC is, as you know, one of the largest and the most diversified professional service firms in Tennessee. The firm as a whole operates across tax, audit, advisory, cybersecurity, technology, SaaS, healthcare consulting, and wealth management, which gives it a broad platform to support middle market clients. LBMC also has a strong regional brand, especially within the healthcare sector, which I'm most interested in, and also manufacturing, where deep industry expertise has also helped LBMC build longstanding relationships across the Southeast, which all of us as Tennessee natives, we've definitely seen that throughout our markets. LBMC delivers these services through 8 specialized LLCs that we have come to learn about, a structure that supported its growth, but also has created fragmentation in processes and delivery models. The diversification gives LBMC meaningful opportunity, but it also increases the need for consistent, scalable processes. As client expectations shift toward integrated tech-enabled solutions, the firm is going to have to evolve its operating model to fully capture that opportunity as a whole. All right, here we have our 5 forces summary. So in analyzing LBMC's competitive environment, there are several clear patterns that emerged. First was the threat of new entrants, which we deemed moderate. Technology and AI make it easier for small firms to enter, but they cannot easily replicate the brand reputation and vertical depth that LBMC has built. The buyer power is moderate to high, especially in compliance heavy work. This is because clients can now compare firms more easily and expect faster, more tech-enabled services. Supplier power is high, and this is one of the biggest pressures that LBMC faces as a whole. The talent shortages across accounting, cyber, and analytics directly influence their ability to scale. The threat of substitutes, however, is moderate, particularly as automation replaces the routine tasks. This pushes LBMC towards higher value advisory and also some of their bundled offerings. Rivalry, however, is high. Again, we are in the Southeast market, and as national and super regional firms expand, they are going to come aggressively into Tennessee as a whole. Taken together, all of these forces show that the industry itself is challenging, and succeeding requires a model that improves efficiency, reduces reliance on scarce talent, and differentiates through integrated tech-enabled bundles. So these pressures are kind of what are setting up our recommendation that we've come to. Okay, the driving forces are what shape the professional service industry and reinforce the same strategic message. So first we have our AI and automation. These transform how work is done. Routine tasks are being automated and clients expect faster turnaround and deeper insight. Second, we have regulatory complexity, which is actually increasing across tax, cyber, healthcare, and data privacy. This raises risk, but also creates demand for advisory services, which require scalable processes. Third, talent shortages are persistent and limit the firm's ability to grow. LBMC cannot depend on traditional staffing model. It needs technology and offshore leverage to expand capacity. This is something that was definitely a recommendation that we thought about, and we are attempting to bundle into what we have as a whole for our recommendation. Fourth, we have clients that now prefer integrated tech-enabled solutions, which is the nature of the world right now, rather than these isolated services that they currently offer. This aligns perfectly with LBMC's diversified structure, but the current fragmentation prevents the firm from really capitalizing on it. And finally, national and tech-enabled competitors are expanding into Tennessee, which actually raises expectations for digital capability and scale. Across all of these forces, the strategic implication is consistent. LBMC really needs a unified operating model, a shared data platform, and bundled service offerings to stay competitive and grow.
Moving into the SWOT analysis, we're going to start off with strengths. LBMC's strengths begin with its strong reputation and trusted relationships across Tennessee and the Southeast. This trust-based approach is a meaningful differentiator in a market where service quality and relationships drive retention. The firm's diversified service portfolio gives it the ability to solve complex cross-functional client needs. This breadth creates significant cross-sell opportunities and strengthens LBMC's ability to solve complex, multidimensional client challenges. Perhaps most importantly, LBMC has a deep vertical expertise in healthcare, manufacturing, and private equity industries that continue to grow and require specialized advisory support. This vertical depth remains one of the firm's strongest competitive advantages and an important foundation for future bundled offerings. Moving into the weaknesses, on the internal side, LBMC faces several structural challenges. The firm's operating model is fragmented across the 8 LLCs, each using different tools and processes. This is limiting the scalability and consistency for the business. The firm relies heavily on tight talent markets, particularly in accounting, cybersecurity, and healthcare consulting. This is creating challenges and increased labor costs and constrains delivery capacity, especially for the one-off advisory projects. Finally, LBMC's regional footprint limits its ability to pursue national clients who expect multi-market delivery consistency. Moving into the threats, externally, there are several opportunities. With the opportunities, there are several opportunities that align well with LBMC's capabilities. Middle market clients increasingly outsource client advisory and accounting services, revenue cycle, and cybersecurity functions. LBMC is well positioned to expand advisory-driven recurring revenue in these service lines, particularly by leveraging offshore support and AI-driven tools. Many clients also expect more integrated tech-enabled solutions and transparent dashboards. LBMC's ongoing technology investments, including the client portal, create opportunities to offer bundled subscription-ready offerings that differentiate the firm in the region. Additionally, Tennessee is experiencing a wave of business transitions and high net worth in-migration. This expanding demand for valuation, tax strategy, and succession planning gives new business to to LBMC. Now moving on to the threats. These include artificial intelligence, reducing the margins in routine service areas. Without scalability, advisory models, and more advanced offerings, firms risk margin compression in commoditized service areas. Rising competition as national and super regional firms expand into Tennessee is another area that's a threat. This heightens competition for talent and increases pressure on pricing, service innovation, and client experience. Lastly, increasing regulatory and cybersecurity burdens. Firms must maintain specialized expertise, consistent process, and robust compliance frameworks to avoid risk and deliver high-quality guidance to clients. These threats heighten the need for scalable advisory models, standardization, and technology-enabled differentiation. Moving into the key strategic concerns, starting with the fragmented operating model. Inconsistent processes, tools, and delivery methods limit the scalability, strain advisory capacity, and make it difficult to create repeatable package solutions. 2, persistent talent constraints. Shortages in accounting, cyber, healthcare consulting, and analytics restrict growth, increase labor costs, and hinder advisory expansion. 3rd, AI-driven commoditization. Automation reduces margins on routine work, pushing LBMC towards scalable, high-value advisory supported by technology. Intensifying competition. National and super regional firms are expanding into Tennessee with larger delivery teams, national platforms, and advanced technology. And finally, primarily regional footprint. Geographic concentration limits LBMC's ability to win multi-market clients seeking consistent service delivery across locations.
All right. So really based upon the 5 forces analysis and the SWOT analysis, we came up with our recommendation. And for LBMC, the recommendation is to transition to a centralized governance and operating model supported by standardized processes, creating a digital and AI-enabled client platform, and bundled subscription pricing to improve coordination, scale efficiency, increase recurring revenue, and deliver a differentiated client experience. Now, based upon some of the industry trends and some of the challenges that the industry, but also that LBMC is facing, such as the talent shortages, private equity entering into the space, we definitely wanted to create some sort of recommendation that was going to sort of encompass and embody one umbrella and then help put things underneath that umbrella, such as the digital platform and creating a bundled and subscription pricing model, because we feel as if that's going to really be able to enhance market share and increase profitability, because some of the challenges, again, such as the talent shortages, are kind of difficult to navigate, especially when it comes to trying to attract or to, bring in new CPAs, because again, accounting is very difficult, and there is a challenge with getting people to want to get into accounting. So really today's recommendation is focused on positioning LBMC for scalable growth, for creating stronger client relationships and being more competitive in the market space. This core shift really is just transitioning from those independent service line operations into a more centralized enterprise model that's going to enable standardization, digital and innovation and investments, while also offering bundled subscription advisory services. This is really just kind of reflecting where the professional services and business consulting industry is heading. Clients right now, they have greater expectations when it comes to transparency. They want real-time insights, proactive guidance, not some sort of reactive reporting. This centralized structure is really going to, be supported by that digital platform and subscription based offerings, and that's going to be able to, equip LBMC to meet these expectations consistently across the firm. So going into the steps to go ahead and implement this, step number 1 really is to establish that enterprise governance, right? Establish that central governance by using an executive leadership council. And I think one of the biggest things here is there are going to be challenges. You're going to have disruptions in workflow. You're also going to have some cultural and potentially political impact into the organization, because a lot of these leaders within the organization might kind of feel as if they're consolidating. They might not feel supported in a sense. So I think that the best messaging here is to be able to ensure that we're telling these different service lines and entities that this is just for us to create a more unified service model. It's really us trying to, or LBMC trying to create follow the industry trends and create that model to where they can come and, purchase and utilize these services under that sort of one umbrella. So that does mean that the decisions regarding processes, pricing, technology, resource allocation, that's going to be made through that sort of unified leadership model, because independently there comes that sort of operational fragmentation where different entities and different, sectors of the business, might have different KPIs. They're going to have different, objectives. And this is going to help put that under that one umbrella to create that sort of better brand and better position for our clients. The goal isn't to create a bureaucracy, it's to really eliminate that internal competition and streamline the execution. So going into step number 2 is creating that digital platform. This is really the enabling component, is that the digital ERP platform, the enterprise resource platform, and creating that sort of client-facing portal. Really what we want to do here is to consolidate a lot of the data that's really not shared as effectively or efficiently throughout the different entities. That's going to include engagement history, billing, communications, different reports, client documentation. So creating that consolidated data center, that data warehouse, so teams have that sort of single accurate view of every sort of relationship. Externally, we're going to build that sort of client portal, right? That's going to offer real-time dashboards, performance metrics, benchmarking, predictive insights, and that's really going to strengthen LBMC's role as a proactive advisor and not just a transactional service provider. Because I think right here, part of LBMC's bread and butter, that value proposition, is that relationship. And what this is going to do is show our clients and prospective clients that there is that sort of investment into us creating and us helping them with different roles and the advisory services that they're looking for. So we want to make sure that they're seeing value with our services and having that sort of ease of access and being more efficient with these processes. Moving on to that is standardizing the processes. Again, when you have all these different entities and all these different service lines, it's very important that standardized processes are developed, because these standardized processes really ensure that really no matter which service line a client engages, the experience is consistent and reliable. Obviously, that includes onboarding, communication rhythms, reporting templates, pricing frameworks, escalation pathways. I think that's very important because that's going to create better efficiency. But again, it's going to feel more consistent and reliable with our clientele. It's going to also help us protect our margins. And I think that's one of the biggest things that this whole, creating that digital platform really helps boost LBMC's positioning. And that's protecting margins, creating better efficiencies when it comes to their operations, but also having standardized pricing frameworks. And that's going to help them continue to be competitive within the market. And a really moving beyond that is creating those sort of cross-functional teams along those service lines, because obviously you have your taxes, your tax specialists, accounting, IT, all of those different service lines that we provide and offer. Being able to have them work together in unison and be able to share that data, but also provide a service that again feels consistent and reliable. And I think that's really the overarching theme that we're looking for, is consistency, reliability, and efficiency of operations. Now, after that, we want to make sure that we are creating the bundled subscription advisory services. And I think that's really sort of not the foundation, but it is kind of that final pillar, is shifting towards that bundled subscription services, because that's really where the industry is going. Rather than pricing individual transactions or working on just particular projects, providing just one individual service, this is an ongoing subscription revenue model that's going to create more predictable revenue. It's going to be more transparent to the client, to the customer, based upon fair market value and fair market price for what these sort of services go for, right? It's going to have more sustainable revenue growth, really, and it's also going to have an easier pathway for clients to adopt those additional services over time. So we're going to have different tiered pricing models that are going to offer different services, but they can also add additional subscription services on top of what they're already receiving with a particular bundled model. I think that's going to make sure, again, stronger revenue growth, stronger predictability. But in addition to that, it's going to be under a 12 to 36 month sort of contractual obligations. And obviously incentive discounts and pricing structures from there, if they decide to go with a longer term, can be discussed. However, it's important to have those contracts and that sort of obligation, because we want to have a more, again, predictable, reliable revenue stability, revenue growth patterns. And also for clients, it also means that, that shows that we have that investment into them. That means that we have, that they also have access to a partner that really grows with them, not just, a provider that they call when any sort of issue comes up. So that sort of contractual bundled subscription advisory services really shows a commitment, not only for us to them, or for them to us, but also for us, with them, because that shows that we want to continue to work with them, and continue to provide value. And I think, again, that's really just the overarching theme of this recommendation, is to create that sort of centralized governance model, while also really developing that ERP services platform and making it easier for our clients to, access greater insights, but also for us to be able to share data.
Yeah, so I think, if we want to take a quick look, first off, I want to say, I'm going to build off of that, what Donald just detailed in the recommendation, but I want to say thank you to Alex for the intro on LBMC, Tom for the great SWOT, and Dono for, like I said, detailing the recommendation, because this bundle and subscription service, idea, it has to be implemented somehow. So I'm going to go over the cost and benefit summary. And we'll start with the strategic objective, where we're just trying to build a scalable advisory platform. In the near to midterm, you have short-term ROIs and our long-term IOIs that we're gonna break down here in a second. And just a note, these percentages of lines on the P&L, we base these bases off of our own thought. It's not any competitors and their launch model for a program like this. This is what we think would be best to break down your investment to implement these bundle strategies and subscription strategies. So the cost you see are, they follow a 5-year model of implementation and ROI with an 18-month launch and investment phase. You're going to have an estimated 3% of annual revenue, totaling 6.6, or averaging 1.3 per year. And so this covers platform development, client portal and dashboard, cloud and security, cybersecurity at 15%, automation, AI tools also at 15%, and then system integration, training, and support maintenance at only 5%. As you lower it. And so if we go into the next slide, we kind of break down how we're going to slide into that, starting at year 1 with the largest, piece of investment, because you have to build your foundation. Here's where your architect of how this, platform and data security and internal testing and pilot teams, that's going to take the most amount of upfront capital to get implemented. But with great returns, because as you see, actually, can you go back to the last slide? In your short term, your 1 to 3 year, you're seeing 30 to 40%, increased top line, and then operational efficiency and utilization gain is going to be in that 1 to 3 year. But then your long term is where you're seeing that 35 to 45% recurring revenue and automation at scale. That's going to really improve 1, your client retention, and 2, your profitability. So we go back to the next slide, where you're going to year 2, where you're kind of integrating and launch. We have a client portal and dashboards. We're continuing to take these services that you guys do across your 8 LLCs and fully integrate along with the training. Your year 2, you're hitting that with a 1.5 million piece of investment, and then year 3, enhance and scale with automation and expansion across your service lines, performance tuning, first client wave onboarding, yada yada. First client wave onboarding, aborted. English. And then your year 4, you're 1 million, and year 5, 1 million. It's your lowest amount of investment, but you're still seeing those returns. And your total after 5 years is 6.6 million. And so that's kind of the cost to benefit analysis and breakdown for what we think, and we're pitching to you guys at LBMC. And next KPIs, I believe, is Donovan.
Yeah. So KPIs, you have your standard KPIs, obviously, with your profitability. You have your ROIs, earnings margins, things along those lines. But I think really to estimate and really to measure the success of this particular, recommendation, this particular strategy, three core metrics were really kind of jumping out to us and what we think we want to use. Number one is that's the net promoter score. Two is a contract renewal rate, and the third one is the client lifetime value. Now, when it comes to the net promoter score, essentially what that tells us is how clients feel about how they're working with us, how clients feel about working with LBMC, whether they're willing to recommend the firm to others. As the digital portal continues to simplify communication, provide more transparency, additional insight, we expect that NPS to continue to improve. And as you can see here, the net promoter score benchmarks and targets are really based upon that sort of industry average. So year one, we do expect to have that plus 25 to plus 35. By the end of year 5, we expect to be in that sort of higher tier, that higher tier net promoter score. Again, because I think with the reputation that LBMC has when it comes to creating and developing relationships, and then by investing into this digital platform, I think that's really just going to continue to show a commitment to our clientele, and that's going to continue to improve that net promoter score. So what really that rising net promoter score signals is stronger trust, a better experience, and really just a belief that LBMC delivers value. That really stands apart from the other market alternatives. That contract renewal rate really is exactly what it sounds like, and that comes really with the new bundle and subscription model. And again, kind of as I touched on with that 12 to 36 month guideline when it comes to contracts, it really just answers that one simple question: do the clients stay? And as the subscription and bundle models are adopted, renewal becomes proof that clients view LBMC as part of how they operate. It's not just really just a purchase surface; it's becoming more entrenched. It's becoming a deeper relationship. So higher renewal rates, it's not only just to stabilize that revenue, but it's also to reduce acquisition costs. It really confirms that clients want to stay alongside us, LBMC, as their business continues to evolve. Now I'm going to transition over here because even though I'm 35, my eyesight's still not the greatest. So really, again, those benchmarks targets, again, based upon sort of industry standards, industry averages. Year one, it's very, very realistic to look for, that sort of contract renewal between 80 to 85%. We do expect that to range up to 92% by the end of year 3. And by the end of year 5, that 93 to 95% really is that sort of goal, that objective to reach. Because again, as the bundled and subscription model services continue to be adopted, and we continue to have continued acquisition of client growth, we do expect that to be able to continue to increase over time. Now, the client lifetime value is a little bit not as complicated, but what it does is client lifetime value measures the depth and the duration of the partnership. It measures that total financial contribution of the client over the duration of that relationship. Now, it's a little bit more difficult to really estimate because there's really no sort of industry standard or industry benchmark, because client mix, firm sizes, contract lengths, everything, the services offered, everything varies. So really what they want to be able to do is, what LBMC needs to do is, in that first year, create that sort of baseline to see where it's at, and then continue to measure it and trending over time. Again, every firm's model is different. So establishing that baseline after that first year is critical. If clients renew early, they stay longer, they expand into additional services, that lifetime value becomes the longer term proof, really, that the strategy is working, and that LBMC is, creating more value across the life of the relationship. And again, that's really the overarching goal of this entire recommendation, and this large capital investment is to increase that relationship, to create better efficiencies, and to really, jump into the industry trends by creating that digital platform, and again, offering additional services and better insights to our customers and our clients. And I think that's critical. So that, again, that client lifetime value, again, there's really no sort of industry benchmark or industry average to look for, but that's just sort of the internal mechanism, that index that we would really recommend to establish and continue to look and trend to ensure that this overall recommendation is working.
And so here, I think I was supposed to do the conclusion. Tom, do you feel like going for it, or do you want me to keep it short? All right. So yeah, to conclude, this strategic imperative for LBMC, must evolve to a unified tech-enabled advisory platform through our recommendation. So centralizing governance, standardizing processes, building a shared digital platform and client portal, and launching subscription-based offerings and bundles, which I'm sure takes a lot of time, money, and effort. But that outcome is a scalable advisory with capacity for recurring revenue and sustainable competitive position in the Southeast in the financial services market. So with that, if there's any questions, just let me know. Anybody else got anything?
Nope. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.